everyone. Welcome to our channel, Join the Johnsons. I'm Katie and this is Dion.
That's right.
And we just want to say welcome to our channel and our new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing and following our family as we venture into this whole new world of owning land and becoming more safe or self-sustaining and gardening. And yeah, so thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
We're
thank
so
you.
grateful.
Thanks for all the new subs. Yeah.
And what are we doing today? Today's a big day.
Yes, today, so we are on our way driving the Pacific Northwest to Paul Gautschi's garden. He's the one that has basically, it's called Back to Eden Gardening, and it's kind of this, not really a new way, but it's basically permaculture gardening where you're utilizing nature in all of its purest forms to basically work less, use less resources, and have a more fruitful garden. So we're going today to be taught how to properly prune your fruit trees. So if anyone knows about gardening, pruning is a total art, and it is pretty difficult. And last year, we have a fruit tree, and I pruned it, and let's just say it didn't go so well. So we're excited to go learn from Paul one-on-one on how to prune. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, last March we went, because he does tours of his garden every Sunday at 2 from March until September. And so we went last March, but now it's January, and on his website you can call him and set up an appointment if you want to basically learn from him on how to prune, like Dion said, because Paul says you prune in the winter your fruit trees. And so it's winter, and we are grateful because it's not like a big group tour today. It's just we called and set up an appointment. He's more than happy to, and because he said he would be done by February. So we're working hard to get there today so that we can have this opportunity, because we do have 2 apple trees that need pruning. And I don't know if you remember from some of our previous videos in the summer, but we did discover we have this old pear tree on our property that's very sick and doesn't produce great pears. And so we're sort of hoping Paul will give us some guidance on how to prune it to bring it back to life.
Yeah.
Because, we want to plant an orchard, but orchards take years and years and decades for them to be big trees that produce a lot of fruit. So if we can utilize and maximize the pears from this tree that's already been on our land for decades, probably. It's probably been there 50 or 60 years. It's really old. So anyway, we're starting to just figure that out and work with what we have. So Paul, of course, has this orchard of like 40 plus fruit trees, which is long-term goals, long-term orchard goals. But for right now, we're learning this, and also grafting is this whole thing that I didn't even know existed until Paul mentioned it when we went on his tour last March.
Well, what's grafting?
Yeah, well, and grafting it's like where you cut the branch off of your fruit tree, and then you tape it together with a different variety, like a branch of a different variety of an apple, for example. So you can have one tree that's producing one variety of apples on one side and another variety on another. Who knew that existed? And so anyone who even has one apple tree on their property could have 2 or 3 varieties from the same tree because of grafting. So we think that's awesome, because even if you don't have an orchard or all these acres, if you have an apple tree in your yard, a lot of people, all they need is one tree, and they could have a few varieties of fruit, or 2 trees. So anyway, it is definitely raining here today as we drive. Paul lives in Sequim, which is closer to the Olympics than we are in Shelton, but it's about 90 minutes. But again, people from all over the world come to see Paul. On the tour, when we went in March, there was people from Alabama and North Carolina, and
I think one person was from Korea.
Yeah, someone from Korea.
Yeah.
And here we are, just really, he's in our backyard, and it's pretty neat because he told us we could call him anytime and ask him questions, and he really wants to help us you know, become more self-sufficient and grow our own food. And so we're feeling really grateful. And actually he, and even in our planning for our own orchard, he referred me to I have to figure out the name of it. But
Burnt Ridge?
Burnt Ridge Nursery.
In Alaska?
Yeah, and that's a local nursery, and the man and his wife who run that are friends with Paul, and he's been doing orchard stuff for about 40 years. And so I made a phone appointment with him and talked to him for over an hour, just asked him a ton of questions, using his website as my guide, because it's kind of overwhelming. And so anyway, we're pretty excited. We feel like God has given us this wonderful gardener and now this orchardist to help guide us so we can do it, you know, make as few mistakes as possible.
Seriously. Yeah, we'll link the link back to Eden Gardening, with that link in the video, and also the Burnt Ridge Nursery as well.
Yeah, and they're a local place that sells bare root and some trees that do well in, you know, our climate, and which is important, because when we ordered seeds and stuff for our garden from other states last year, we learned that a lot of them didn't grow so well, and it could have been too because of just where we live, and we all have different planting zones. And anyway, basic stuff, but when you're new to gardening, you just don't know.
No.
So it's disappointing when the food doesn't grow. Oh man. So we will stay tuned, and we'll start filming when we get there. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
My favorite.
So cute, babe.
And there's my coffee. Well, we made it. We're here at Paul's place, and I am just coming to approach them, and we're excited to get started.
Part of the tree is the cambium layer below the bark, that little green layer.
Oh, yeah.
The center of the tree is not living.
Really?
It's there for support. Well, you've seen trees with cavities, totally hollow, growing just fine. Well, it's telling you something. You don't need that. The wood in the center is there for support. It's not living.
Oh, wow.
It has no life. Yeah.
Wow.
But I thought life came through it and fed the branches.
Life comes through the cambium. The cambium is what's bringing all the fluid and feeding the branches, and so what you have to do is make sure the cambium on each part connects. Let me take you and show you where I do some grafting, and then show you how to do it.
Wow, this is awesome.
This is awesome. It's very peaceful out here.
And you know what that piece is?
It's like,
That's presence. That's God's presence. That peace you're feeling is His presence. There's no question about it. I so enjoy that. I get all these new ages and atheists coming, you know, and they all experience the presence. And I tell them, His first name is Jesus, His second name is Prince of Peace, and they can't deny it. They can't deny it. I don't care what their worldview is. They can't deny it because it's so tangible. Yay, God.
Yay, God. Yes, indeed. Beautiful trees.
Over here I got some grass. I'll show you. see here this little book with black tape?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That was the graft we did last year.
Really?
And what's cool about the tape,
I'm
as
gonna
the
go on the
branch
other
grows,
side.
Yeah.
the tape just breaks off and it's gone.
Oh wow!
I'm telling you, and you know how I learned this?
Oh my goodness.
I asked God, if you look at any book that talks about grafting, they tell you have to use grafting paste, you have to hold together with pins, and it's a nightmare, it doesn't work. When I asked God, he says, black tape.
See.
Totally does it.
So you just
Look over
go
here. Now,
ahead.
take a picture. You see there's another one?
Oh,
And you see over there?
Oh my goodness.
There's another one.
Oh, I see. So this.
And let me show you an old one I did a lot of years ago.
So that's a different variety?
Yeah,
that's
it's a different
grafted in?
variety.
Wow.
Now, Paul, how do you know which variety is which? Do you ever forget? Do you ever
No,
put
when
tags?
the fruit comes on, it'll tell you.
Oh yeah, it's true. I guess.
It says, look at me. This is what I am.
This is so neat. I love this
Isn't that
concept.
cool?
It is
And I'll
cool.
let me tell you the power of it. I tell you, God is so awesome. You see, it's critical that when you do a graft, it doesn't dry out. So when you wrap the tape real tight around it, it pulls everything into alignment so the cambium's touching. It can't flex or move, and because the tape's wrapped tight, it can't dry out, keeps all the air out, and because it's black when the sun hits it, it gets warm and heals quicker. I'm just telling you, man, God blows me away. He is awesome. And this is nothing you'll ever find in a book.
No.
So this tree could have technically how many varieties?
As many as you want to plug in. Unlimited.
Wow.
See, the beauty of that, you see, my orchard's basically full. But it's not full. Because I can continually add new varieties by grafting. Unending.
Right.
And you know what's it's so cool, like these trees, I got on the same tree, yellow and red apples. Because I grafted different varieties, and it's so cool looking.
Oh, man.
I love that. So we can do that with our tree,
Yeah,
with this
of course you
fruit
can.
that we
Yeah.
don't really
Now,
want.
now let me show you
Wow.
some old grafts here. Just
Okay.
to see how how that growing so nice.
So even a family who didn't have the space, but if they had
Yes.
one tree in their
You can
backyard.
you can just do it multiples. You see here,
Right.
you see right here, this real thick part. That's where I grafted.
Oh,
You see how beautifully that's growing?
right here.
Yeah, right there was a graft.
And-
There's that one over here.
And how long ago was this one, Paul?
Probably 4 years.
Oh, about
It's
4
been grafted
years.
for-
Okay.
forever. Before.
And that's just this here.
Yeah, just that part. And you see right here? There's another one. So I grafted right here. You can see how beautifully it's growing in. And completely.
That's incredible.
It's awesome. It's God. He's awesome.
So can you ever graft a big limb like this, or it needs to be an
You
offshoot?
could, but it just would be a challenge holding it in place.
It would be a challenge. Have you ever tried that?
No, I make, you know.
Do with what works.
I'm into making things easy.
Yeah.
I make it hard.
Yeah, totally.
It's going to grow into big branch.
This is so neat.
You know, it'll grow
Wow.
into that, but
Yeah.
why struggle up front?
Yeah.
So here,
And so you can show us how to do
I'm gonna show you
that.
how to do it right now.
Wow.
This is so exciting.
It is so cool grafting.
I once was reading in a book about it, and I was like, "This is so complicated. I'm getting a headache. I'm not going to read this."
This is something God showed me. Everything that's hard. As you wrap around it, you pull everything into alignment, and you hold a position that can't move.
Wow.
It's just see when you do the pasting, they gotta have pins and it's really hard to keep everything in alignment.
Oh yeah.
And then it's all exposed to the air, and then the wax ever comes off and it dries out. But the tape solves all that. It's just
Wow.
it is really awesome.
And do you just leave the tape on there
Yeah,
until
and what's
it?
cool about it, when the union takes and it starts to grow and expand, the tape breaks off and falls off. It's over.
How long do you take? Is that a few years?
cares?
Or? I'm just curious.
Well, it depends on how fast it grows. Some things grow
okay.
faster than others.
Uh-huh.
But the issue is you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah.
I love this easy yoke, light burden. It's all about God.
Yes.
Right.
He makes it so easy for us. And I'm so getting it in the spirit because it's about everything with him. He's really obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making it easy for you. Okay, so this is a Liberty apple, really cool variety. So when you graft, this, I want you to hold this piece here. Hold this. That's your original tree, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to cut it off here. And so here's what you do. You take this and you take your pruner and you get right in the center there and you split it, okay? You hold that now. Then you take this piece that you're grafting and you cut at an angle like this. Hold on to it.
Okay.
Then you get back in here and open this up. Slide this in and you wrap with the tape.
Oh, wow.
And it's totally there. Cadmium's touching.
That's it?
That's all you do. But
Oh,
it's
man.
critical you make sure that these are the same thickness. Okay?
The same thickness.
See, I cut that off and you line it up and you make sure they're the same thickness. See, that's right now too small.
That's too small.
So you want to make sure
Wow.
they're exactly the same because the cadmium will align. So when you pull the tape, it pulls everything in. Did you see
Wow,
how,
yeah,
how
that was
simple that was?
like,
So are you going to do that again?
What's that?
Or did you?
I'm just saying that's what you're going to do when you get home.
That's
wow.
what we're going to
You're
do.
going to take wood from this tree.
It's amazing.
Wood from this tree because this is an amazing variety and graft into what you have. Just like I just showed you.
Wow, awesome.
Did you get that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I videoed it, and that's this green is the what
Is the cambium.
is the cambium.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I'm going to have a whole wagon full here so you can take as much as
Thank
you
you,
want,
Paul.
to take home with you.
Oh, wonderful.
And if you want a cherry tree, take this one.
Oh,
Really
cool.
cute.
Thanks.
That's already growing. That's a tree. You're
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks.
We do want a cherry tree.
Yeah, we do.
Wow. Wonderful.
So pruning is an art form.
Okay. Pruning.
It's not a science.
Okay.
All right.
So that just keeps you free.
Because I pruned our one apple tree last year, and then it didn't. The apples, they didn't
It
turn out.
actually kind of did worse than when he didn't.
Well, pruning is a stimulant.
Did you take all the fruit spurs off?
Well, see, we don't even know. It was so that's why we were like, we need to learn. So I guess with pruning, what's a fruit spur?
Let me tell you where to cut.
Okay.
Everybody that prunes. Let me do a demonstration here and cut a piece off to.
So this tree you haven't pruned.
No, we haven't done anything with this, and this is why you're here. We're gonna prune this. Let's get massive here. You see, this is getting into my space over here, so I'm gonna crowd this tree to the middle of the
Okay.
ground. So watch how I raise this up. You see how all of a sudden that got shortened, now we're right back?
Now that
Now, let me explain to you about where you cut. This is hilarious. I love God. He made it so easy. Any book you buy on pruning, they always say, don't cut the collar, cut beyond it. And you see how that looks over here? When people prune, they hack all the ends off. You look at stumps in your face and it's ugly. What God told me? He has such a sense of humor, it blows me away. He said, I made a line, cut to the line. And I thought, wow, God, you see at the collar here, there's a line. You see that line? You see that line right here?
Yeah.
God says, I made a line, cut to the line. Let me show you the power of that. You see how beautiful that cut I did a few years ago healed? Look at that, just totally grew over. You see that all over the place here. Everywhere you look.
Oh yeah, you see.
Everywhere you look. All these where every tree you see in an orchard have these stumps where they cut beyond the collar, all kinds of suckers growing out, and the wood inside, because the collar can't grow over, it dies and becomes a cavity.
Oh, wow.
Are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
I love look at how beautiful all this heals.
Wow.
I made a line, cut to the line.
So if we have the trees we have been neglected for years,
So
and
what?
they're just grown.
No problem.
So how do we go about knowing?
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna prune. So you come to your tree, and you see I cut right close to the, you see I'm cutting at an angle. The art of pruning is hiding. When this thing heals over, it's going to look like it just grew that way. It's not going to look like I cut it. Are you following me? Mm-hmm. And so that's how you want to finish. You want this done, when you're done, to look like you didn't do anything. See, if you're looking at my trees around here, they don't appear that they've been pruned. They obviously have been, but it's not like you're looking at a whole bunch of stuff. It looks like everything just is in its place.
Right.
Which is how it's supposed to be. And so when you prune, your perspective is not what do I take out, it's what I leave. Focus on how you're going to leave it, not what comes out, and then get the stuff out of the way that doesn't make it to how you want to be. You see how this is just crowded here? So I'm going to take this piece that comes underneath. You see how I just opened out that all up. See, as we come over here, we got a lot of congestion. So I'm going to lighten it up.
But there was fruit off of all of these.
Doesn't matter. This is what I told you. Why I prune?
To stimulate.
No. To reduce the amount of fruit I get. Did you hear me?
To reduce it, because then
I get
what's
too
left
much.
is...
I get way too much fruit. Way too much. And I'm continually trying to get less. But it's not working. God's hard to work with. He's just very generous. And he doesn't know how to quit giving.
The apples that we have aren't big enough. They're all too... There's a ton of them, but they're small.
It's because there's too many
Too many
small
apples.
ones. When you prune, it reduces the amount of fruit. So
And they
the
get
tree
bigger.
can focus on making the few apples it has bigger.
Bigger.
Gotcha.
So all of your branches I see are trained to go down, and we have a bunch that are shooting all
Not trained to
kinds
go
of-
down. My apples are heavy. Minerals are very heavy. Water is heavy. When I hand you an apple, when you come here in this fall, your hand drops because it's heavy. If you buy apples at the store, they're lightweight, nothing in them. So it's all about weight. Minerals and water. My fruit is full of minerals and water, and they're heavy. And so the weight of the apples bend the branches down.
So if we have a bunch of branches that are up and it's all crowded, do we start to take some of those bigger ones out?
And what you do, this is very important to listen to me. On old trees that you haven't pruned forever, you're not going to fix it in one pruning. 1/3 of the entire mass at any one time. No more than 1/3. If you go back over that, the tree just suckers like crazy and it becomes a mess. So on old trees like what you're talking about, the first year you go inside the center and you get rid of all the dead and all the crossovers. All the branches that are crossing into, going through. You get that cleaned out of the center. Anything dead, you cut off. In the second year, you start bringing it down. And over time, you get it into shape. But
I
it's
see.
progressive. If you try to do it all at once, that tree's going to flip out and you send suckers like crazy everywhere and you'll never, ever catch up. You'll be a slave. I'm being serious.
Okay.
So, again, it's just like this tree was neglected for decades.
Right.
I'm not going to fix it in one pruning.
Right.
It's going to take a while. But you'll be patient. But let's say the first year, you get rid of all the dead. Dead is like a cancer. It's like, like gangrene. It's just not good. Dead and all the crosses, it's just you open it up. Second year, you start bringing it down.
Can we still graft?
You can graft it, but you graft into something you want to keep.
Okay.
This branch is going to stay here. This is where I want it, so you graft into that. Don't go graft into something on the top you're going to cut off next year.
Right.
So you make a point where you graft this is a very open place. There's plenty of room for it to grow. This is going to stay.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And what's cool about the tape is it'll remind you when you're out pruning, don't cut that. That's
Yeah.
my graft. If it
Yeah.
wasn't tape, you might miss it and cut it off.
Right. So you just did this section.
I'm just working. I'm going to walk around my tree.
Oh, and you do the whole
I'm going
tree?
to do the whole tree.
Oh, okay.
But the Japanese, as a culture, are the only culture in the world who know how to prune. I'm serious. Because they prune different from everybody else. All cultures prune from the outside in. They come up to the tree and start hacking ends off. The Japanese don't do that. They start from the inside and work their way out. And you know what's cool about that? When you get in the inside of the tree, you can see where all the crossovers, all the shoots that are shooting through, and you get that cleaned out, and then everything's opened up, and you see how to arrange it. You know
Yeah.
how God works with us? From the inside
The same
out.
way, right?
What I'm seeing is these principles in God are in everything.
Mm.
It's so powerful. It's like, I love it.
Mm.
You can't miss if you're paying attention. He made it so easy for us.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see, I want you to notice what I'm taking out. You see how this little piece goes down underneath? It's going to be shaded, so it's not going to do well. Now you see this is getting too close to the ground, so watch how I just raise this whole thing up. One cut. See, all of a sudden now we're totally up out of the air.
Oh.
You see that? You see, it didn't look like I did anything. You see, that cut underneath is hidden. You don't even know I did it. Now all of a sudden, this thing is totally open to sun and air. It's not crowded. You
And
see,
so you're not sad about the fruit that's not going to be on that.
Did you hear what I'm saying? I'm pruning my trees because I'm trying to reduce the
Right.
amount of fruit. I get way too much fruit.
Right.
So fruit is not an issue.
Right.
It's all about arranging my trees so everything gets good sun, gets good exposure, and I can reach it.
And so you can reach
My
it.
trees are here to serve me, not me them.
Uh-huh.
If you've got a ton of fruit set on the tree and it doesn't get sun, you're not going to have any fruit because it'll never ripen.
Can I validate that? When I planted these trees from babies. As they started to grow, the lower branches were just full of fruit. But you know what I did every fall? Spent hours of picking green fruit off the ground because they never got ripe. Because the upper branches shaded them and they didn't get ripe.
Right.
But I couldn't imagine cutting off those big branches that bear all that fruit. These are my trees, my baby trees. I finally woke up to the reality. This is too much work. Picking up all this green fruit I can't use.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm over it. So I started cutting off those low branches. And I cut big branches out of the trees all the time. You look over there, I took a branch like this big around out, because
Wow.
you see, as a tree grows, not only does it extend itself, but the wood gets thicker. And in times it gets too dense and you got to open up. So don't be concerned about the size of anything. If it's in the wrong place,
Got it.
it has to go. The size is not an issue. Everything has to be in the right place.
Do you want me to pull this
No,
Paul?
I can do it. I'm
Okay.
fine. You just pay attention. You know, do what I'm doing. Yeah, 'cause that's why you're here. And I'm gonna see my branch here. Hinge over. Now you see this is getting too close to the ground.
Right.
So all of a sudden now it's not close to the ground. And you see, you can't even tell I cut there.
No.
You see, that's the art of pruning, is hiding your cuts.
Oh.
Do you hear me? When you're done, it should look like you didn't do anything. And that's all about having good pruning tools. This is important to get. I usually do this first. But loppers are not pruning tools
Yeah.
because there's a big jaw there and you can't get close cuts. This tool is the finest hand pruner in the world. Put this in your hand and see how that fits your hand.
Wow, it's like it's made for your hand.
It is.
Yeah.
And you know whoever made this used it.
Wow.
The guy who designed that was a pruner, because you can see how it fits
It's
your
like
hand.
just an extension
Yeah,
of your
it's
hand.
like-
It's
yeah.
wonderful.
and here's what makes this superior to any pruner. When you use a pruner over and over and over, it gets worn out inside here and it gets sloppy, and when you go to cut something, it hinges over, it doesn't cut clean. You know how they solve that with this? Look at this. You see this little screw down here with these teeth going into that? When this thing gets sloppy, you loosen that and you tighten that, and you're right back to where you started. You slide that thing in and lock it, and your tool is brand new again.
Oh.
This tool came with red plastic handles. I wore them off with use. I've had this tool for decades,
Oh, wow.
and it'll never wear out because it's well made.
Wow.
And let me show you how you sharpen it. You see this little angle there, that edge? You take a file and you come across and maintain that edge. And you flip it over, and on the back side you just go flat, rub the burr off. That's all there's to it. And because this is made in Switzerland, this steel's really hard, and this thing doesn't get dull. It holds the edge for a long, long time. It's just really great.
What's
Keep it oiled. That's another thing.
It's called Felco number 8.
Felco number 8.
That's the one you want to get. The Felco number 2 is the most common one, but it's not. That doesn't have the fit of your hand. This one does. And then the pruner, the hand saw, comes from Japan. You will never find it in a box store. You have to go to like an arbor supply. There's one in California called Bishop Company, and it's the finest saw in the world. You know, I wear gloves when I'm working. I'm not cold. That saw is so sharp that many times I get through the cut quicker than I think. And if my hand's there, I have one serious, huge cut that takes forever to heal. So I'm wearing these gloves to protect myself from that saw. I'm serious.
So
Now, let me show you something cool about the saw. You know when you saw something with a regular hand saw?
Mm-hmm.
What does the edge look like when you're done?
Pretty jagged, and
I want you to look at that edge and run your finger on it and see how smooth that is.
wow.
That's like 800
Oh wow.
sandpaper.
Yeah, that's like
That's like
super smooth. Wow.
Did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this saw
Yeah.
did that.
wow.
That's what's awesome. I'm just telling you, this is not your typical saw.
Wow. What's the name of that saw?
It's called Challenge Pruning Saw 13-inch, and you get this from a place, Bishop Supply in California. Challenge 13-inch pruning saw.
Okay.
Now here's something that I want you to learn. When you're around old trees, you have all these suckers at the bottom. Don't use your saw, because if you hit the dirt, the edge is gone instantly. It's over. So keep this saw out of the dirt, and the blade will last you for a long time. Now, if it ever does get dull, there's nobody in the plant that could sharpen this. They had no clue. Don't even let them try. Just buy a new blade.
Okay.
Look at that blade and check out all the angles.
Oh wow.
Look at all those angles on that blade.
So it's just it's giving you that fine
How
cut.
would you ever get in there to sharpen?
Yeah, you wouldn't. No way.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a samurai challenge.
Samurai, wow.
Samurai. You'll get a different saw if you don't add samurai.
Really?
And 13-inch, you know, those specifications will get you.
So I see, Paul. So does it matter the angle that you?
Well, it matters aesthetically. You see, I got cut it flat, you know, like that. It's not as clean. You see, I want this to make it look like it screw that way. It's an art form. You know how good carpenters leave really nice finished cuts. You know what I'm saying? When they're done, it doesn't look like they made it cut. It all fits. This is what this. You see, at this point when that heals over, it's not gonna look like I cut that. It's like that's just how it finished. So it's all about pruning. You're doing good finish work.
So these ones getting too low, you're getting like this.
Yeah,
that one's on the
see,
ground.
This is gonna crowd. You know, just by taking that out, you see how it just freed up that space.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So this one, you got to get some of your path back then, right?
I get a lot. And another thing, you see, I want to be able to reach my fruit. I can't get in here.
Right.
You're gonna see how I'm gonna change all that. I'm gonna make it totally accessible because I need to get in here. And again, I come back to the reality: these trees are here to serve me, not me them. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
They're here to serve me, and I'm gonna make them do that in spite of themselves. And again, this is where you see I got a lot of congestion here, and so you just step back and you look at it, and then you think about what you want to finish with, how you want to end it, not what's coming out, how you want to end it. So this piece comes underneath all of that, so that obviously goes. And you can just see how just these simple moves, how just
It cleans up a lot.
opens
Yeah.
space. You know, it's like, wow, that's it's so effective, functional. This works, you know. you know, just all of a sudden now we're there. Everything's open, you know, and it looks like, you see, by doing your prune, everything, you're finishing with what was already there. Nothing, this is all, isn't hacked. This is just, you know, what was there. And it looks good.
And it will get sun. That's what I'm gonna take
That's what
away.
you see, everything has to
See
have sun
sun.
exposure. That is so critical. Especially here, like in California, it's not that big of a deal, but in Western Washington, sun's a big deal. You gotta get all you can get. Now I'm looking at, you see, I need to have access. And this is kind of nice the way this flows into here. So I'm gonna get this out of my way so I can come through. Simple. You know, none of us see everything the same. And he's just like, because when I was done, he realized it looked better, but he didn't see it.
Well, and I would imagine you also get better as the more you do it, and
Like everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect. And the more you do, the better you get.
yeah,
You never want to finish, because then you're stagnant. You always want to keep upgrading. Always. Never come to the place of thinking, I got this figured out.
right.
Because then you die. Really. You're
Yeah.
stagnant. You always want to upgrade. Every year I'm going to do it better.
Yeah.
You go.
Well, so now you can get in there a little better.
I'm going to get in here totally. You're going to see when I get done, every space in this tree will be accessible to me. Because that's how it's supposed to be. I'm in charge here. This is my place. I'm going to make it convenient. Totally convenient for me to work in. I will not be hampered.
So anything, Paul, too, kind of growing back towards the tree, you're kind of getting rid of. Is that correct?
Well, you know, and see, I'm looking here. I'm still not having. Because I'm gonna leave some of this. So
Right.
I'm not done yet. I need to create more space. See, now I can get in here. And so I'm going to get into this, you know, again, you want, as much as possible, you want to work from the inside out. You know, so I'm
Okay.
going to get back inside here and work my way out to the outside. See how nice and open
Yeah,
this
that
is
was
now?
the ones going up. Yeah.
You see, everything here has you know, full exposure to light, easy access to me, and it's just making it workable. Here's something I want you to, you know, when you're pruning, that root system, the support of all of what I'm taking out, is still there.
Right.
So it's coming back. It's not like you're done.
Right.
It's not like this is where it's going to finish. It's going to grow back, believe me, in vigor. So don't ever feel like, oh, that's all done. It's not going to ever grow back again. That's not real.
That looks great.
Thank you. Well, again, if you're doing it right, it should look great. Remember, art form. Art should look good. you see here, I'm going to talk you through this. You see here, I got crowding going on here. And so I'm going to take this big piece out of here so I can have this be my finish. See how all of a sudden now we're not crowded. One move, one cut. It's just, again, it's really, like I said, it's so fun doing it because you're just creating space,
I'm kind of excited to do this.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's really enjoyable. And again, the beauty of it is that even if you make mistakes, it grows back, and every year you get new options. You can keep making it better. It's like never finished.
Right.
It's always in a state of upgrade. I love that. Just like with us. God's not done with us. He's still working on us. And you know how we're going to finish? You know how we're going to finish as people? We're going to become like Him. I love that. 1 John, beloved, now we are present tense sons of God. God does not appear as what we shall be known. He appears, we shall be like Him. We shall see Him. I love that. God is going to finish us off as the ultimate, just like Jesus. That is so awesome. We finish off perfect, just like Jesus, in spite of ourselves.
It's right.
I love it. It's so cool. You know why Jesus was called the second Adam? Remember, he was named the second Adam? You know why? Because God sent Jesus to the earth to show His intent of what the human race should look like. Second Adam. This is what I really made it to look like. And you know what I love about God? He gets His way. Forever, we're going to be just like Jesus. I love that.
Yeah.
The fallen, broken, what happened in the garden isn't going to finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
It is so good. He's so all about redemption, man. He's awesome. He finishes well, in spite of us. You see, just by making those two cuts, I totally freed up that space. See, everything now has fits. And you see, this is why, like I say, when you're pruning, you focus on what you're going to leave, not on what comes out. You look at it like, I want that to finish here, and so everything in its way, get out of there. This, wherever else is focusing on what I take out, perspective is how do I want it to finish? What am I looking at to finish it? And that just changes everything and how you approach it.
It's kind of like when we remodeling homes.
Yeah.
So how we remodel, it's like looking at how you want the kitten, whatever.
How you want it to finish.
Yeah.
You got it. So you're getting it. You see that, and I believe that's the work of the Holy Spirit. See, as I gave you a word, He confirmed it. You see, the mouth of truth He witnesses, truth is always. So when He gives you revelation, He always follows up with confirmation,
Right.
to let you know, like, yeah, this is real.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
It's always about confirmation. And what was cool about what happens, you were not looking for that. That's not something it just came spontaneously because that was God speaking. And
Well, Dion and I
realize that how natural God speaks.
Right.
You keep thinking it's like some weird thing.
No.
It's just so normal.
Yeah.
Like just
So
spontaneous thought.
Right.
Like confirmation.
Right.
You just heard that? Here's
Yeah.
the evidence.
Well, Dion and I remodel homes, and so I just had the thought, like,
Yeah.
you can do this. You already do this. It's just in a different capacity.
And
So
again, you see, and see that. But what I want you to get is a thought came from the Holy Spirit,
right.
making confirmation. Just wanting you to know that what you heard is true. And this is what I'm so loving about. I grew up thinking that it was complicated, and like only if you could hear,
Right.
and it was odd. And I'm realizing that's not at all what it's about.
Right.
It's very normal. It's very everyday. all the time. He says today, if you hear his voice. Today is present tense.
Yeah.
And you see that scripture 3 times in the Bible? 3 times. Today, if you hear his heart, you hear your voice, harden not your heart. You see it first in Psalms and twice in Hebrews. You kind of get like this kind of might be important. 3 times, same statement.
Yeah.
Right.
This is kind of like, wake up, listen to this.
Yeah.
This is real. Today, if you hear his voice. You know how we harden our hearts? By unbelief. Well, that wasn't God. God didn't say that. That was my thought.
Right.
That's unbelief. God says you have unbelief, you don't get anything.
So Paul, so starting a new orchard, we were gonna order our trees, and then
You'll get them in February, which is coming up, bare roots.
okay,
And you plant them. And what you want to realize is,
wonderful.
so you look in there. As I start finishing, I'll hand them to you. These are some really nice cyan wood. And if they take, you'll get fruit from this next year.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome!
they're amazing. It's really cool.
Oh, wow. We came, the first time here was last March,
Yeah.
but then the next time we want to come is September, because you said that's when
That's when
everything.
you see the incredible multitude
Yeah.
of fruit. It's just, I mean,
It's kind of fun though to be able to come to just
yeah, well, you
Yeah.
can see-
here and in March
then,
and
then you can see
the bigger picture. Yeah.
what abundance looks
Yeah.
like.
Right.
Yeah.
Come for a tour for pruning.
We came for a tour. It was
Yeah.
like probably one of your first ones for
Gar-
the season.
Yeah.
Was it March? No,
It
May.
was May.
May?
First June.
Okay,
Was
it
it
was
June?
1st of June then. Yeah.
It was one,
like
one
it
of
was
the
like
first
the
ones of the
first.
season.
I usually start it in June because that's when stuff.
Okay, that's when it was. Yeah. And then we were gonna try and come in the fall, but we didn't make it. And
Yeah.
then, anyway, here we are.
And what kind of tree is this? What?
This is called Liberty.
Liberty.
Okay.
I love that word. And it has no diseases. It's totally there's no work to it. And it's this beautiful red apple. It's just really delicious, really good. Great variety. I keep thinking that scripture, for liberty Christ came to set us free. I love that. That's his character, his nature. He's all about freeing us up. Now, here's what you want to read. You see, you see all those little fruit spurs? This is a
Yeah.
very productive little branch. So I want to leave that. So by taking that out of its place, it fits. Do you see that?
So those can get the sun and
Yeah, you
keep
see,
growing.
these are
and-
all fruit spurs. You see these little flat buds. That's all leaves. You see these real thick ones? Those are fruit. Those are fruit spurs. Those will create a flower and produce fruit.
So that's like apple.
Yeah, lots of apples.
Okay.
It'll be a cluster of blossoms,
Okay.
so it could potentially be 3-4 apples on each one.
Depending
wow.
on how well the bees pollinate, has to be cross-pollinated.
So when do you pick them?
When they're ripe.
When the tree hands them to you,
And you know what? Most of the time,
you can go and grab the apple. If it just
You
comes
know
right
what's-
off with a slight touch, then it's ripe.
and you know what's so cool about these trees
Okay.
being so close to the ground and wood chips? When they drop,
They don't
You're right.
bruise. Yeah.
and they don't get bruised,
Wow.
and they're not dirty.
So if you're having to pull it,
It's not right.
it's not ready.
and
Tell
here's
our
what-
toddlers
and
that.
here's what's scary. This is why we're all sick today. The enzymes that develop in the apple don't happen till 7 to 10 days before they're ripe.
Oh.
Here's what's critical about that. Enzymes are what cause you to digest the food. When you buy apples from the store that are picked green, they put a nitrogen fix to bring the color in, there's no enzymes in that apple. And when you eat it, your body has to go salvage enzymes somewhere else to digest it. So instead of that being an asset, it becomes a drain. It's actually counterproductive to eat an unripe apple, nutritionally.
Yeah. Huh.
And you look at nature. Nothing in nature eats unripe fruit except human beings. You follow me? All of that cherry tree will sit there with cherries on it. Birds won't touch it. The day it's ripe, they're on it. They know exactly when it's ripe.
Oh,
And they
wow.
won't touch it prior to that
Right.
because they know. But we
Sure.
spend money for dead food
Yep.
Yeah.
and think it's okay.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Hmm.
And you know what's hilarious about my fruit? You know how when you bite an apple, you open it up, you let it sit, it turns yellow, brown?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mine don't.
Really?
It'll sit for days and weeks and never turn brown. It's hilarious.
It won't oxidize with the air?
It's not turning brown.
Huh.
People flip out. They think, I set that out there an hour ago, and it's so white.
Wow.
I don't know why. I'm not sure.
I don't know
I
either.
can't,
It's true, though.
I can't, but I'm being real. They don't
Huh.
change color. I mean, you can slice them and put it on your table for a day, and it's still the same color.
Oh my goodness.
It's hilarious.
Wow.
Well, aesthetically, it's sure nice. I don't know any other reason, but it's really nice on having a brown apple. That nice white looks cool. Now I'm going to talk. You see, I'm looking at this arrangement here, and I kind of like the way this is heading back into here, but this is crowding it. So by paying attention to how I want to finish, when I get this out of the way, I have this. You see, this kind of fills that space really nice, and you see how this over here is wanting to crowd over. So we'll just end it. Now everybody's just
Yeah.
just simple little details
Simple,
like that.
yeah.
Just really, and again, it's that whole, point of just, focusing on what you want to leave. You see how that's going to come, and see now by ending it there, everything just fits. There's nothing. It's it fits. And again, it's like an art form, a picture, just putting everything in place. A puzzle kind of thing. Just putting it all in place to where it looks nice. This is something that the more you do, the better you get. Some of the first trees I pruned were pathetic. It was sad. Very sad.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just want to encourage you that
Yeah.
you'll get better.
Yeah, thank you.
You improve over time. If you're paying attention, it's all about paying attention. Like, see, now watch this here. You see how that crosses over? You see by taking it out, and all of a sudden we're all just working cool. See how it goes underneath. I mean, just simple things. You see how all it just fits now, just by taking that one little piece out. Oops.
I don't know if you really noticed it or not, but just because this one's going up, I'll show you. When he made that cut or whatever, and he just nipped it back, he didn't just go like that anywhere. He looked at which way the bud was facing. So if he wanted a branch to go straight out or come this way, if he wanted it to go straight out, he'd go right above this node, cut on an angle, so it grows this way. If he wants it to go this way, he finds this node, cuts there, the branch will grow this way.
Oh.
So you're imagining where the tree's growing to. Take that into consideration.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That whole branch can just go like that.
So you're saying if you cut it here,
You cut it
then
just
this would go there?
as long as it's above the node.
Oh, if it's
Above,
above the
yeah.
If you cut it
node.
below it, that branch isn't going to do anything. The node right below it.
Oh.
It'll end up
It'll
growing-
die back to the
Yeah.
to where the node is.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Graft it.
You can wait all the way until April when the buds start coming in. But if you do that, make sure you keep these in like a wet, cool place. You don't
Okay.
let them dry out.
Just wrap them in a damp paper towel. Just make sure that.
Okay.
Make sure it stays damp.
Okay.
Okay.
So we don't have to like do
You can
it
even wrap
with
it
it
in a
sweet.
damp paper towel, put it in a bag, and put it in the refrigerator. Then it'll be like ideal. Cause it'll be like winter, right up
Oh.
until it's time to graft. And then when you do go to graft, cut the end off, because that will have healed over a little tiny bit.
Uh-huh.
So it'll just
So you
be a
have,
nice fresh
you know,
cut.
fresh-
Fresh. Okay. And the grafting, it's the same size.
Yeah.
Right, that's the big
showed
thing.
you. Make sure
Right.
it's the exact same diameter because the cambium, that green little layer, has to come in contact. If it's the same size when you wrap with the tape, that pulls everything into alignment so they're in connection. And when
Connection.
the tape's wrapped tight, it pulls things tight so there's no airspace.
Right.
I mean, it's just the tape just does it all, man. It's just,
Okay.
it's profound how beautiful it works. You know? I love that black tape.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is awesome.
Yeah, this is really gonna be good. Nice seed. Like I say, this is such a good variety.
We're in the Shelton Valley, and there's blueberry farms around, and so we're encouraged that we could, because our blueberries didn't really do well. So
The variety you want to get, and they have it there at Burnt Ridge, is called Liberty. That variety is amazing.
okay.
Olympia.
Oh, excuse me, Olympia. Thank you.
Yeah.
Olympia. Yeah.
Liberty is these apples.
Is the apple. It's
Olympia.
Olympia blueberry.
Olympia.
Okay.
That thing will start producing like end of July, and in October when the wind blows, I have blueberries on the ground. I've never seen anything last so long. They're incredible, and they're really
wonderful.
prolific, huge volume. Excellent, excellent. Olympia. Thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching our video with Paul and Nick. We met today, and that was quite a 3 hours that we spent. We're freezing right now. We have the heat on high in the car and everything. But it
This was a well worth 3 hours.
Yes.
So
we learned a lot. So we just wanted to kind of debrief a little bit with you guys about everything that we heard.
yeah.
Yeah. So what was something that stood out as important to you?
Well, we went there to learn about pruning and the importance of pruning. You prune so that you can, get more fruit and control the amount of fruit and control how your tree grows, and it's an art. And so one of the cool things we learned about was grafting. How you can basically grow a lot of different varieties of a fruit tree from one fruit tree. So he showed us how to actually graft, how to make the cuts, and basically take a different variety and put it into another variety. So that was really cool. He had some great video on just the really detail of cutting, how to cut, and then how to do graft. So that was really cool.
I also, when he was showing how it's, when you want to focus on what you want something to look like, not what it currently looks like, with the tree.
Yeah.
I felt like the Lord was like, you and Dion will be good at this because we remodel. And to have the ability to go, okay, take this wall out, to open this up, and it's the same idea, right? It's
Right. Focusing on your end.
Yeah, and so the pruning has kind of been intimidating to me because it's like, oh, is it the wrong one to cut or the right one? And I just feel like we'll start from the outside in, and we'll learn, and we'll get better and better, and we'll start to develop an eye for it, and we'll be fine because we've already done that in a totally different capacity.
Yeah, for sure. And it was really, he just made it really simple. Just like the lines, you're gonna cut where the line is. And
Yeah.
it was just really, he made it really simple. He showed us the tools to use. We'll drop the links of those in the video, but I mean, he's been doing it for 65 years. I mean, 65 years, guys. I mean, a lot of the stuff you get on, on the internet, it's, I mean, this guy's been doing it for 65 years.
You can't compete with that.
You can't argue with that. You can't compete with that. His orchard has the proof. It's completely gorgeous. I mean, he completely does things that, a lot of master gardeners would say not to do, and he's completely doing it and getting a crazy harvest. So it's like, I mean, it was a completely great time in pruning and how to prune.
Something that was a big aha for me is the yellow translucent apple tree. That's a big established apple tree, and we do use some of the apples because we like to make applesauce with them, but we can graft a bunch.
Yeah.
And actually use the base of that tree and the success of that tree that already exists and graft and then get other varieties.
Yeah.
That was a big, like, oh my gosh.
And we got a bunch of his...
Liberty.
Yeah, Liberty. Got a bunch of his Liberty stems, so that we're going to take those and we're going to graft it into our fruit tree. And so we'll be able to have 2 varieties of a fruit tree in one. It's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And then technically we can have even more varieties.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even, that, because, orchards take all these years and stuff. And so that was like, oh wow, we can have this Liberty variety in a year or whatever from the tree that's already planted.
Yeah.
So that's neat.
Yeah, it was really
That's a neat concept.
Yeah. Yeah, really, it was really neat. And just being able to learn and see hands-on, how to make the different cuts and prune your tree. And it's an art form, definitely.
Yeah.
And so we spent a long time with Paul, and then we got the pleasure of meeting Nick Ager.
He has his own YouTube channel.
Make sure you check him out.
Yeah.
And he is incredible, and he actually pruned one of Paul's trees, which Paul never doesn't let anyone prune his trees, and Nick pruned a couple of his trees, and he's really good at it. And we got to spend some time with Nick and learning about meat birds, and he did meat birds last year, where he raised 25 or so meat birds and sold them. And so we got to spend time with him learning about meat birds and just everything gardening.
So when is it that you think we'll get meat birds and chickens and all that?
I mean, maybe it would be awesome if we could get some, next year.
Yeah. Would you want to do meat birds first or layers? Chicken who lay first?
Well, I would like to get layers. I want some fresh eggs.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to do the meat birds also, because they got to get going so that they can grow and harvest them. But probably layers first.
Yeah.
And then maybe like have a 6-month gap or something.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting to me that Paul said he can't imagine not having layers in his life. Chickens that lay.
Yeah.
Because of all that they consume.
Mm-hmm.
They get all the scraps.
Yeah.
And it was neat, really, because with Nick there showing us his greenhouse or could be a chicken coop.
Yeah.
We have now even a blueprint on how we could make one.
Yeah.
For the chickens that we want.
Definitely.
So maybe chickens will be in our near future.
You guys definitely have to go check out Nick and his YouTube channel and everything he's doing. Really doing some cutting edge stuff. He also on his YouTube channel has about the chips, right?
Something like that, yeah.
So
And even his movable chicken coop, and he just makes it. I'm like,
yeah,
you
that
should
was
patent
really,
all this stuff.
really neat. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it was amazing to me how Paul's food was still present in the middle of winter, and it had just snowed.
Yeah.
The celery and
Yeah,
it's-
beets.
yeah, it's all there.
Yeah, just hanging
It's
out.
like, man, we really wanted more harvest than we got. And so, Dion and I are also in the process of just kind of revamping the garden and what we're going to plant and where, and right? So we're just more open, because we just want a better harvest.
Yeah.
But we also know that it does take time. And yeah, and I think the grafting thing, what he said, is not removing more than 1/3 of its mass. Or not grafting, but pruning. Because I could see us just getting carried away.
Well, like I did last year, I just went to town on a couple of those trees, and the yellow translucent did good, but the I don't know what kind of tree it is, but it's I don't know. It did produce a lot this year. So I think this year in pruning it, we will, if we prune it, go very light on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was amazing. It was an amazing time, just learning how to prune, and how to do it properly. Learning from a master
Right.
that knows how to do it properly. That was so beneficial.
Yeah.
And hanging out on Paul's property in his garden is just so peaceful, and it's just awesome. Just
It
a
is.
world of knowledge.
Very peaceful.
So I'm looking forward to it.
And then we got all these goodies in the back. Who knew we would care about
Yeah, we got a cherry tree they gave us too.
all this stuff? Yeah, we got a
Very cherry tree. So
Right.
whoop. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
It's exciting. And now it's pouring rain. But we're on our way home.